Analyst Ongama Mtimka, who's in Eastern Cape. We're talking about the happenings in the Eastern Cape a little bit earlier on, the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. The mayor there has been ousted in a vote of no confidence. But I want to begin, Ongama, with what's been happening in Tshwane in the last hour, 2 hours or so. And it seems that by any means necessary, they want to get rid of the mayor and the speaker. But listening to the ANC there, I don't know if it was a slip of the tongue, but he said they want to get rid of the DA. Was that a slip of the tongue?
It wouldn't be, because I think they would have been bolstered by the message from the EFF that they were not going to support the Democratic Alliance. You know how much the DA needs EFF support in order to govern Tshwane. So on the basis of that, then, I think the suggestion is that they will be able to actually remove the entire DA leadership and the speaker. But what I couldn't ascertain is that I saw in the running tweets that the speaker in that meeting fled, being chased by the EFF. Now, the challenge with that is he's making reference to a deployee which could be sent by a Cocta in the province. While that is the case, I don't know whether the courts could treat it the same way as if a speaker had actually abandoned the meeting. So what happens is that in a situation like that, the municipal manager ought to preside over the meeting once the speaker is not there. And Cocta is, if both of them are not available, the current speaker as well as the municipal manager, it's within Cocta's rights to actually send somebody to preside over that meeting. And it would be interesting. The legality question for me only arises by this impression I'm getting that the speaker in that meeting was chased away rather than not available.
All right, so there could be some legal challenge about what does play out for the rest of this afternoon. All right, look, there's so much to sort out now, but I guess where I'm trying to get to is that who's going to be the winner in all of this? In Johannesburg, we saw the EFF at odds with the ANC, and could they work together in Tshwane to the next step, even though the ANC just now wasn't willing to give us any clues about the next step after getting rid of the mayor and the speaker, what they would do in terms of who might replace Mr. Mkhalapa. What's your take on what might happen next in Tshwane before we go back to the Eastern Cape?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting what's happened. So if you look at what happened in Joburg, I think there the EFF is tactically wanting to show both parties what happens when they withdraw their support. Power is not effective if you must use it. But I think the EFF, in anticipating Tshwane's meeting today, realized that they had nothing to lose. They must field their own candidate yesterday, so that their message they want to send about their seriousness to be involved in government can be listened to a lot better. So I think what's likely going to happen is that they may end up rescuing the situation in Joburg and in Nelson Mandela Bay by being more listening, as long as they are able to bargain with getting a mayoral position in Tshwane. And I think because now the ANC is not going to be comfortable with a Joburg that is a minority government, nor will they want Nelson Mandela Bay to happen without having a sense of a greater control of that council as much as they can. But I think it's going to be still a minority outcome even there. So I think here we are not dealing with one municipality in good faith. The political players are being game theoretic. They know that they can consolidate their power by that when they are not in the mix, when they are not pursued up till they agree, they can frustrate the bigger political parties. So you may find a situation where in Tshwane an EFF mayor is elected, and in return for support in Johannesburg as well as in Nelson Mandela Bay.
All right. So what does happen then in Nelson Mandela Bay Metro? There isn't a mayor at the moment. I believe, there might be an acting mayor, but what happens next there? Is there going to be a change in the balance of power?
It's going to be fireworks here. I don't think the UDM is going to want to support any of the coalitions, and that gives away the 2 seats which have been the source of consolidating at least a majority government. But having seen what happened in Johannesburg, it may be the case that what happens in Nelson Mandela Bay next is a government based on a majority of voters in a particular election for the mayoral candidate, but not a majority in terms of above 50% threshold in terms of the split of seats in that council. So it will be a minority government. That's more likely at this stage, unless the UDM can still be engaged in a process that says perhaps not the mayoral position or not Bobani, but another candidate gets to form part of the coalition. I don't think it's bigger than the UDM to be able to be persuaded along those lines, even though it will be difficult, because I think Bobani is going to feel a lot betrayed.
There's some analysts saying that this ousting of Bobani is costing Bantu Holomisa some serious political capital, because he backed him for the longest time. They're not going to oppose his ousting at this time. Does that mean he's finally seen the writing on the wall, but will it come at a cost?
Not entirely at all. So from a reputation point of view, there may be some questions, but I think that the UDM will still be a factor in Nelson Mandela Bay, because, coalition politics take away the zero-sum approach to power. So it's not going to be a zero-sum game. There's still, if the UDM is pursued, that gives greater comfort to whoever is going to constitute a majority there. What will be upsetting to people will be being in an environment where, for example, Bobani comes back in a prominent position, and prominent meaning either mayor or deputy mayor. But if he's open to persuasion, I mean, he could come back, but relatively neutralized, because the UDM's 2 seats are still needed in order to have a comfortable majority in Nelson Mandela Bay.
All right, we've run out of time, but at the end of all of this, could we have different party mayors in Pretoria, Johannesburg, Cape Town and Nelson Mandela Bay when all is said and done?
Highly likely, except for Cape Town, but very much likely.
All right, that's where we're going to leave it. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. That's our political analyst there, Ongama Mtimka, who is giving us his take on what's happened in Nelson Mandela Bay, as well as Tshwane, which is a developing story even as we speak. Palesa.